you.
Howdy. How are y'all doing? Go ahead, Kyle. I was just going to say hi to these guys.
Good morning.
Smooches.
I'm going to let you. Good morning. It is now 10:02 and the Brazos County Commissioners Court will meet in a workshop for the following two items: presentation and discussion of a camera system in the parking garage and a discussion on space utilization of the Brazos County Court Admin Building. At this time, the court calls Leslie Contreras of Risk Management in reference to agenda item number 1, the camera system.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge Leslie Contreras, Risk Management. So I know you all were expecting me to present on the presentation you received last week. However, after much discussion with information technology and project management, as well as others, we've decided to bring a different perspective to the court, and we are actually going to ask that we postpone this project until further notice. Basically, let me put my glasses on, I'm sorry. So the reason that we are asking for this change is we reviewed the submitted materials from IT. We've determined that, also along with Commissioner Nettles, he's given some good ideas, that it might be better for the county to wait for the project for our the Roy Kelly parking garage to see how we're going to do the 101 building or the new court annex. We believe that those two buildings need to mimic each other basically on whatever system we put in. Also, if you look, if you can still see the presentation that I sent you. If you look at the pricing that those quotes came back as, they're very disparaging. You have one that's over $1 million. It's like $1.1 million. And then you have another one that came in for only a little more than $100,000. Some of the quotes could not be vetted because maybe the vendor was ghosting us or ghosting IT after maybe they found out how big the project might be. Also, we would prefer that to have a little bit more time to vet those quotes, to get more additional information. We would like to get a little bit better understanding on what the court wants for those two properties, the 101 and the Roy Kelly parking garage. There are many options out there, but in order to get apples to apples with these quotes, we just need more information and a clearer picture. If we, and I'm using the word tabling in this, and that's not really what I should have been using. I'm thinking agenda. I really should have said, let's place this on hold for now. Basically, we want to gather more detailed technical and operational information for both the Roy Kelly. It's still too new to us right now. We don't know how many people are parking in there. We don't know how many calls we're getting. We can call 911 and get those calls, but we want the sheriff's office to have a little bit more time of responding out there and get a better idea of what's happening in that garage. We also want to get better competitive vendor quotes. We have quotes from Ring, Eco Parking Tech, Axon, and Avanext. They are tremendously different in cost. And we would like to make sure that vendors have time to come and walk the parking garage and really put thought into what's going to be put in there before we move forward. And like I said earlier, we'd like to ensure a cohesive and consistent system across both facilities. Rather than just piecemealing one and then having a new one come on, we think it would be better to just be able to sync them. Yes, so that they're all on the same system. I do want to note that we want whatever system we put in, we want it to be compatible with whatever our VMS system is, which is our video management system. We want it to be compatible with that, and we also need it to be compatible with Fusus, which is what the sheriff's office uses in the county for real-time crime center. Thank you. So do y'all have any questions about any of that?
Commissioners, any questions?
Well,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Nettles.
so I applaud you. It takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, I need more time. So I applaud you for doing that. A couple of things. Did we look at the applicability of hot tax to be utilized in that garage?
I did not look into that, but maybe Nina
Is that
did.
possible? Or, and the second, while Nina's coming up, is did we engage the city of Bryan in this process? Because if they're using that facility on the weekends and Fridays, they may have an interest.
So I did have our general counsel do a little background on what we can do with the hot tax fund. It is hard for us to get a percentage because it's not used every single day to the
Because we
heads
don't
and
know
beds.
the cars count.
And we don't
So
know the
maybe that
car
would be
count.
useful.
And so
So-
it'd be hard for us to say 10% can be used for hotels because you don't know if they're actually spending their night here. Football games possibly, but we're seeing vehicles leave right after the game, so they're not staying here.
Right.
They're staying in the vicinity, but just not.
Seemed like it'd be a small slice, but every
Right.
little bit helps. So-
Now regarding your second question regarding getting with City of Bryan, I didn't, but I don't know if anybody else did.
Yeah, so I would encourage staff to do that, because if they're going to be one of our major tenants for that parking garage on the weekends where they have First Friday, on game day weekends, then, and the other part of that is, I'd really like to see the sheriff and the BPD involved in this, because obviously the sheriff during normal working hours of the courthouse is going to be the first law enforcement, closest law enforcement to respond. But the city of Bryan is going to be the people that respond after hours and on the weekend. So whatever system we put in needs to be applicable. They need to be able to plug into it also, right?
So-
Am I getting that right, Paul?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I have been in communication with the chiefs of the city of Bryan, and I did run the numbers last week just to give everybody an idea. Prior to taking over the garage this year, there was 7 calls for service. And in those 7 calls, it was a mixture of the Sheriff's Office and PD taking those calls. Since the takeover, there's been 5 additional calls that we've answered, and the same. It's been a mixture of Bryan PD and the Sheriff's Office. In communications, they wanted to know if we had actually did the full switchover, which I have with 911. And I explained to the PD that most calls are going to be the Sheriff's Office responsibilities. But us being out in the rural parts of the county, it's going to be difficult for us to respond in a timely manner. So they understand if it's a priority 1 call that the city of Bryan will come in and respond, and we'll get here eventually and take over. But we are working with them in that aspect.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Paul. Commissioner Conlon.
Oh, sorry, can I
No,
just
finish,
comment?
yes, please, sorry.
So in regards to the City of Bryan, I'm not sure what agreements we have with them on them utilizing the parking garage, but I would encourage the court to maybe have agreements put in place. I think they previously had actual contracts or agreements with the Brazos Transit District, but as far as I'm aware, those agreements have now expired or are null and void. And so I would encourage the court to, or I don't know what department would have to handle that, but create some agreements with the City of Bryan so we know what, that way the sheriff's office knows, you know, when they're going to be utilizing the garage and things like that. Because when they are utilizing it, it does create more activity in there, and then sheriff's office should be made aware.
Answer all your questions, Commissioner Nettles. Commissioner Conlon.
Leslie, on the options there in the bids, I noticed 2 with Avanex. So one is a wired and one is wireless. Is that basically the difference between those 2? That's the only difference between those 2?
Yes, sir. So the 2 top quotes on that chart are the original quotes that we brought to commissioners for the capital project hearing. And then the 4 quotes below that are the wireless option that the court requested during that hearing. And then IT went and tried to do their best to get those quotes in a timely fashion.
I just want to point out that, so Avanex is our only local option as far as vendors that have responded, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Also, just from working with Convention and Visitors Bureau, when Bryan and College Station had one Visitors Bureau, now we have one for the City of Bryan, one for College Station. But we worked with Brazos Valley Lodging Association on the surveys they give visitors, and we could add a line, we could work with those two visitors bureaus to add a line, just asking people the simple question of, did you utilize the Roy K. Kelly parking garage downtown Bryan? One that tells people it's there. I don't want to have a bunch of people utilizing that garage during business hours, but this is after business hours. These are game day weekends or First Fridays or whatever. So this is a great avenue for us to find out and get the data we need to justify the percentage of cars utilizing that for heads and beds. And
Yes.
that then will be a bigger percentage because we'll be able to prove it. That's really all the law. I'm not a lawyer. Bruce, I'm not a lawyer. But from my experience with Convention and Visitors Bureau and the legislation, we actually worked with the guy that wrote that legislation in Austin. And that would be, all you've got to be able to do is prove a percentage. But that would be a great feather in our cap to be able to prove a larger utilization than otherwise.
Note on that, the parking, or the Brazos Transit District has installed a new gate system, and that actually will count the cars. It'll tell you how full the parking garage is and things like that. It'll tell you weekday and weekend. It'll tell you if it's a county vehicle or like a county-owned vehicle.
Okay.
Because we'll have our vehicles in there too. I don't know if it'll actually say this is a county vehicle, but we'll be able to decipher if it's county vehicles parking in there, county employees parking in there, versus citizens parking in there for weekends or that kind of information. So that'll be very helpful as well.
Yeah, anything we can do to point and say this is definitely a tourism activity, because they may stay in our parking garage and then go drive out and stay at the residence inn on the edge of town, or at a hotel in Navasota. But
RVRBO.
yeah, or a tax compliant VRBO, or anything like that. So
That was a cheap dig. I know. I'm writing a check right now.
that's funny. So yeah, anything we can do, if we have any ammo we can have to show the greater utilization for tourism, I think is going to be just more money we can use hot tax for. So
Absolutely.
Before we move to the left side of the dais, or my left side of the dais, Bob or Trevor, where are we, or Leslie, if you have the answer, are the gates fully installed and operational? Or what's the timeline on that? Bob Lampkin. Thank you.
Yeah, the gate system, it's all installed. Will be coming online probably next Tuesday,
Okay.
live. And so
Awesome.
they've got some
Awesome.
connections to make, but the physical equipment's all installed. They finished that up on Friday.
Perfect. Since she mentioned that, I just want to make sure we're clear timeline and when it will be finished. I know they were working diligently last week. Thank you, Bob. Any questions for Bob? Leslie, you ready? Fred? Wanda?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Brown?
I'm looking at this implementation cost, all these different bidders, and it really gives me great pause when I look at Axion being over $700,000 more than anybody else.
So I believe the reason that is, and IT might have to speak more on this than myself, because I don't have that technological side in my brain. But I believe the reason that is because they quoted all flock type cameras. And flock cameras are much more expensive because they read license plates. But in this type of a scenario, I can understand a flock camera or a flock type camera being on the outside of the garage looking like as they're pulling in or out. But I don't think it's necessary that we have flock cameras at every single little camera in the garage. I think that's maybe a little overkill.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Axon's is that high, but I don't know that for sure.
Well,
But it is
it-
also only a 5-year contract, which means after that 5 years is over, it starts all over again, or you have to do something else.
Well, it makes me wonder if every Axion contract is overpriced. We don't know because they don't have much competition out there in the things that we use in other departments. So,
I can't speak to that, so I apologize on that, but you might be onto something there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Watson?
Well, I'm okay with us, putting this on hold until y'all have more information to try to give us, so we can make the best informed decision that we can. My only concern is in the immediate, as I said, I had an accident, I was in the parking garage. My concern is, and I know this is being a little flippant, but we need, as we have this interim period, there needs to be more lighting in the interwalls because it is pitch black in the daytime. As a woman, because I had to be in the parking garage, it was full, and I ended up, so I got to loop the whole thing. And
Yes.
the outer perimeter, with where it's open, there's plenty of light, but when you get to the inner walls, and of course you lose your GPS, my satellite, I was listening to my jazz, so I lose my satellite, so that's when he was talking about, can we go wireless? I have concerns about that we may need to not hot wire, what did I mean? Hard wire, excuse me. Hard wire the cameras or whatever. So my only concern is can we put in bigger light bulbs or light, because when you look at where the lighting is, there's sort of a kind of like this.
A strip.
And so, maybe drop down the light bulbs, or, that's Trevor and Bob and IT's thing.
Yeah.
But can we have more lighting, because it's so dark, so in the interim, there still needs to be safety.
Right.
Lighting, whatever, and I stayed at I was in the office after 5 o'clock for 2 Fridays, and I have been amazed at the cars that are lining up to go in that parking garage on a weekend. So that part is really good that it's being used, but in terms of being able to document, actual car counts, to know what we're talking about and how much it's being used, such that we need to provide that security.
Yes.
But I'm always concerned because from a litigation standpoint, we only need one very bad incident, and we'll be concerned about $500,000 here, but the litigation is we're being sued for millions.
Yes.
So, like I said, anything you guys can do to expedite this, and these companies be responsive, it will be so important. But it is pitch black in those inner walls in the middle of the day.
So for that, I will put in a ticket with maintenance and see if they can't, maybe see if there's any bulbs out and, see if there's something that can be done to make it a little brighter in there.
But they're kind of, like I say, they're kind of placed up in there. Then you have these, I guess these metal, support things that drop down, and the lighting is up in there, at least for the levels that I was on, and it was just dim as it just looked like a little candle light, little bitty light hanging down in the middle of the garage where it needs to be in multiple points. So I
Okay.
assume that'll be a part of the security camera things, and we'll have better lighting.
I'm not sure on that. I will say one of these quotes is from a company called Ecotech, I believe. Eco Parking Tech, and they actually install the cameras on the light fixtures. So they drop down from the actual light fixture, and that's how they actually use the voltage from the light for the camera to power the camera. That might be a great solution. They are not local, but it might be something that can be looked into to help with the lighting and with the cameras.
Okay.
And just to play off of what you're saying, I want to make sure that everybody's aware that I am still 100% for this project. I just think we need more time to vet everything, gather our information, figure out what we're going to do with the new court annex building, and then we can bring a better solution to the court.
Perfect. And so in interim, we have new gates. We
Yes.
we have cameras installed now that we can utilize and get us to the next project, correct? And we will look at lighting, and we will make sure when you're between floors 2 and 3 in the interim, you can still hear Barry White.
No, jazz.
Oh,
I
Luther
like-
Vandross.
I like Barry.
is Luther better or
See,
not?
that just shows your culture that you're not as well enriched as I thought.
I was going with Kenny G,
Kirk
but
Whalen, jazz.
Kirk Whalen, there we go. I tried, Wanda, I tried.
She needs that saxophone.
Yes. Leslie, thank you for the pivot today. Commissioners, we all agree that's the correct move?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for continued work and support, and look forward to the next workshop on cameras when we have multiple parking garages to take care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the space utilization on this Brazos County Court Administrative Building. So Trevor and I have been working on this and together just because of the close proximity of our offices. But this undertaking is large, so I asked Trevor to report on this in 2 phases. So phase 1, we're going to focus strictly on the sanctuary and the 2 stories in the new court and this wing over here that we will be in phase 1 so that we'll be able to move departments. So if it pleases the audience, it is the court's intention that we recess real quick and walk over to the sanctuary, because I think it's important for everybody in this discussion to see the sanctuary, look at it, we'll come back, and then Trevor will start his presentation. So with that, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, walk over, do a field trip to the sanctuary, look at where we are, and we'll come back and discuss. Thank you.
Express it.